talk about Donald Trump's epic press conference post midterm elections. Now, this was fantastic, an instant classic. I had a thought in my head to stream it while it was going live, but it doesn't really matter at this point. I have plenty of clips for you guys to enjoy. The very first one, I'm sure most of you have seen by now. It's gone viral all over the internets, all over media, everywhere. And that is the exchange between Donald Trump and Jim Acosta. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and roll that clip. In this clip, you'll see the context of what they're talking about, why it was an exchange, why it has gone viral. And you'll also see what happened here, that a lot of these leftist media outlets talking about Donald Trump attacks Jim Acosta. They're not talking about this particular incident. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Well, if you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion. As you know, Mr. President,
I consider it to be an invasion.
As you know, Mr. President, the caravan was not an invasion. It's a group of migrants moving up from Central America towards the border with the U.S.
Thank you for telling me that.
Why did you characterize it as such?
Because I consider it an invasion. You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in this election to try to keep?
I want them to come into the country, but they have to come in legally. You know, they have to come in, Jim, through a process. I want it to be a process, and I want people to come in, and we need the people.
Your campaign.
Wait. You know why we need the people, don't you? Because we have hundreds of companies moving in. We need the people.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
Well, that's true.
But
they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. Right. These were people. This was an actual, you know, it happened a few days ago. And
they're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. Right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. The other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
The other folks. That's enough.
Mr. President,
that's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself having you working for them. You are a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
Okay, so you saw that. You see what's going on. Now, let's address the first thing, the elephant in the room that the media is not really talking about right now. They want to say Trump is attacking Jim Acosta. He's attacking CNN. He's attacking journalists. But what about what Jim Acosta did to the young lady trying to get the microphone? Did you see that? Excuse me, you know, hitting her and stuff like, wait a minute, what's going on with that? Okay. Corey Lewandowski did something similar, and he had an actual right to do it because it was a reporter coming up to Trump trying to get all in his personal space when they were walking. He was just like, hey, you need to back off. For that, he got called all kinds of abusers. You know, it's the patriarchy, all this, that, and the third. They're trying to actually like bring him up on charges in the court of public opinion. However, Jim Acosta, there's no mention of what he's doing right here to the young lady. Why are you touching her? Why are you trying to like get her off you when she's going for the microphone? People are saying, oh, the lady was just trying to shut Jim Acosta down. Some white person, a white liberal, talking about this is white womening. I'm not really sure what that means, but I digress. My point is that these leftists are kind of like attacking her or ignoring her. But if you're going to be consistent with this whole thing about, you know, believe women, protect women, is that and the third, then you should be on Jim Acosta's back for what he did here. And getting away from that, this whole thing about the migrant caravan and the commercial, I think there was a commercial from Trump, his administration or whatnot, that showed the migrant caravan for what it is. They're invaders. You got thousands of people coming to the border all in one group. If you're just simply migrants or immigrants, you're not going to do that. You do the whole, you know, numbers thing as an invading force. That's why the army comes as a big amount of people, as a force, as a collective. That's why they call it the armed forces. It is a force, not just a couple of guys here and there. You're not really going to be able to overwhelm individuals when you come as a couple of individuals. You know, you got to come as one big group. That's the whole point. That's why they call them invaders, is what it is. So Acosta was trying to press him about that, but Trump wasn't having it. The best part of it was when Trump said, enough, put down the mic. It was like a dad scolding his bad son. It was really crazy. Jim Acosta is a grown man with salt and pepper. This shouldn't be happening, but hey, we're talking about CNN here. This is pretty much what they do. I'm not surprised. And it was funny when his friend got up and defended him. Trump was like, I don't like it that much either, so don't even really get excited. That was hilarious. Another clip that I'll show out of a few more is when a young lady, I don't know her name or where she's from, but if you know, when you see the clip we're going to see in a moment, let me know in the comments. Another moment was when this young lady got up and asked Trump about people that have been retiring. You have Jeff Flake. You have Paul Ryan. And she's basically saying, is it your fault? Who's responsible? So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and roll that clip. After we get done, I'll talk about that and a couple more we have on deck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll this.
Regarding all of the retirements in the House, Mr. President, very quickly, you suggested that—
Who is retiring?
You said that many of the retirements that happened in the House made it very difficult.
Many retirements, yeah.
That made it very difficult for you in this election cycle, and that it was because they were chairmanships that were vacated. But Jeff Flake wasn't a chairman of a committee, and Paul Ryan also retired the cycle. So why do you think that is? Whose fault is it that there were so many retirements?
In Jeff Flake's case, it's me, pure and simple. I retired him.
Yep.
I'm very proud of it. I did the country a great service. Go ahead. Give him that. Give him that. He is retired. I'd like to call it another word, but we're going to treat him with great respect. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Jeff Flake, that's another beauty. Go ahead.
All right, so you saw what's going on there. You see what's happening. See, this is why I like Trump so much. He's a straightforward kind of guy, straight shooter. He's like, well, nah, I did that. I made him retire, and I appreciate that. That was a hilarious moment and an honest moment, because he knows what time it is. I think even Jeff Flake himself said that. He's like, well, I don't really like what's going on with the party. You have to pretty much just suck up to Trump, and I don't like that, this, that, and the third, so I'm going to go ahead and quit. And that's fine. If you don't like the way that the party is going, go ahead and retire. You know, get out the way. And what Trump said is true. He did the country a great service, because if you can't, you know, support the president as a member of the same party, then why are you here? Go ahead and retire. Do something else. Become dog catcher in your original town, your town of origin, whatever it is. Just do that rather than being in the way as far as the Republican Party is concerned. I draw a parallel to The Wire here. You know, some of my guys and girls out there, you've seen The Wire, you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, just bear with me for a moment. There is a scene where this guy named Marlo, who was like the up-and-coming drug kingpin, took out one of the other players in the game to get a better connection to the source of the drugs. So he took out a middleman, basically. And people were at this table at this meeting with Marlo talking about who killed X, Y, and Z person, because at this time they didn't know who killed the middleman, because they were all pretty much working together, including the middleman. So Marlo comes to the table and was like,
I'm responsible.
That's the kind of way that Trump kind of came off here, not in the murderous way, but in the way of taking responsibility for what he did, being proud of it. Some would say, how could you be so proud of a guy being forced to retire because of you? But he did the country a great service. In the case of Marlo, he did himself a great service. It's a similar comparison as far as how they came off, which is kind of funny. But let's get to my next clip. This one is from Yamich. I can't pronounce her last name, but I've spoken to her before. I think she's from the New York Times, one of these liberal rags. I was supposed to do some kind of piece or something. Like, I did an interview with her, I guess off the record, but I never saw the story run. But anyway, she was asking Trump about being a nationalist, and she was saying some people are going to draw parallels to white nationalism. And check out his comments here.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists. Now people are also saying
I don't know why you'd
that
say
the
that.
president.
It's such a racist
There
question.
are some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists because of your rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I don't believe it. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? Why do I have among the highest poll numbers with African Americans. I mean, why do I have my highest poll numbers? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, it's a racist question.
And Mr. President,
I love it. You know what the word is? I love our country. I do. You have nationalists, you have globalists. I also love the world. And I don't mind helping the world, but we have to straighten out our country first. We have a lot of problems.
And
Excuse me, but to say that, what you said is so insulting to me. It's a very terrible thing that you said.
And Mr.
Okay,
President,
please,
Mr. President, people have you talked about middle class tax cuts on the campaign trail. How will you get Democrats to support that policy?
You have to ask them.
Well,
Hey,
what's your plan for working with Democrats on a middle class tax plan?
You know what my plan is? I'll ask them. And if they say yes, I'm all for it. And if they say no, there's nothing you can do because you need their votes. Go ahead.
Okay, so you see what's going on. You saw that. Now, I think that was very well handled. It is a racist question. Just because Trump is white and he says he's a nationalist, you're going to put him in the category of a white nationalist. You're going to put him in the category of KKK and stuff like that. Just because you're white does not mean that you're a racist because you are a nationalist. Anybody can be a nationalist. I'm a nationalist. What you going to call me? Are you going to call me somebody that's trying to identify white nationalism because I'm a nationalist? You're not going to do that because I'm not white. You do that with him because he's white. That's racist. Being a nationalist is not determined by your race. It's all about you and how you feel about your particular country. You want to do the best things for your country. You are a proponent of your country. You have the best interest of your country at heart. And he said it pretty well here. You have nationalists and you have globalists. I like the world. I want to do good things in the world, but I am for the USA first, which makes me a nationalist. Very well handled. Now, there's one more clip here, and that's about Lil Jon. Somebody said something about, I think Omarosa or Lil Jon, the rapper, said that Trump called Lil Jon a Uncle Tom. And then there was another question about, have you ever used racial slurs? Something crazy like that. So check out this clip and you'll see exactly what's going on here, how the question was asked, and then you'll see Donald Trump's immediate and definitive response.
Michael Cohen recently said you called black voters stupid.
That's false.
Omarosa has accused you of using the N-word, and the rapper Little John has said you called him Uncle Tom. What's your response?
I don't know who Little John is. I really
he was on
don't.
The Apprentice.
I don't know. Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Have you ever made racist remarks?
No, I would never do that, and I don't use racist remarks. And you know what? If I did, you would have known about it. I've been hearing there are tapes for years and years. There are tapes. Number one, I never worried about it because I never did. I never used racist remarks. I've never used racist remarks. Okay.
Well, one point of fact.
Go ahead.
One point of fact, because you told her you have the highest approval among African Americans. It's just 8%, sir, single digits.
See, when you talk about division, it's people like this that cause division. Great division. No, point of fact is that I never used a racist remark. That's the point of fact. Who are you from?
Okay, so you saw that. I mean, I think that pretty much encapsulated everything right there. This whole thing about, there's tapes of Donald Trump using the N-word. What he said about, if it were true, all of you would know it, is what I've been thinking the whole time. These things don't stay under wraps for long. The Access Hollywood tape came out when he was in the truck. I mean, if that tape came out before the election happened, then why has the tape of him saying the N-word not come out yet? You got Omarosa on TV talking about, I have the tape, I know it exists, I've heard it, others have heard it. Why haven't we heard it yet? Why is that? I mean, every other thing can come out. You got Stormy Daniels on TV talking about Trump's member, all this, that, and the third, but yet we don't have a damning tape of Trump using the N-word. Why? Because it doesn't exist. That was my thought from the very beginning. And then he said he doesn't know Lil Jon. Well, here's my thing. Do you think that Donald Trump at age 72 knows his former co-worker's rap name? He may know Lil Jon by his real name, by his government name, but not by his rap name. You think Trump is in his car listening to Lil Jon, the East Side Boys, Bia? Is that what's going on? I doubt it. So at the end of the day, the media is a mess. Places like CNN and all these other individuals that work for different places, self-employed, whatever, they're a mess. They're asking these crazy questions. They're framing it in ways to make Trump appear to be different than what he is. I think this is going to fuel in the true 2020 red wave and red tsunami. People don't like being treated like this. It's very simple. Treat us with respect. Treat us with dignity like we have a brain in our head, and you may get a positive result. If you don't, I don't think things will go quite well for you. So what do you think? Do you think that Donald Trump's press conference was epic like I do? Was there anything that I missed here? Because it went on for quite a while. I was not able to see most of it. I'm just seeing bits and pieces of it here and there. But if I can find the full conference, I will place that in the box so you're able to see it in its entirety without me interrupting and get any gems that he dropped that I was not able to pick up. So that is pretty much all I got. Whatever your comments are, please